words for. There it is. You did it, Arash.
I got it.
We got it. Okay, so we're
Thank
recording
you.
now. We'll just
Okay.
kind of speed up real quick, but thank you. We had a little technical difficulty, so we're recording.
Well, the show
to
starts
the,
now for everyone
the show
watching
starts
online.
now.
The show starts
Summertime
now.
favorites.
Yeah.
This is NorCal SCI's Arash and Shelley cooking segment. Summertime favorites. We'll quickly introduce ourselves. Arash.
Yes, I had a spinal cord injury 10 years ago, and I've been involved with NorCal SCI since 2018 and continue to love cooking, lifetime passion of mine that I continue to do to this day.
Okay. And I'm Shelley Wood. I am a dietitian, lifelong advocate of food, and I've been working with spinal cord injuries for quite a few years now, inpatient, outpatient, in the community and the research. And I'm super happy to partner with Arash and NorCal and continue spreading information about how important nutrition is.
Yes.
And we are going to, do you want to get
Let's
into
jump
it?
into it. Yeah, because sorry again, everybody watching recorded. We had problems recording until now, so we were blabbering on. But luckily, we haven't started any of the cooking. So let's get into it and get this show on the road. Let's turn the camera around.
There it is.
Okay. So today we're talking about kind of summertime, easy picnic, travel, like things to take with you, favorites. And I thought one thing we could do is make a fun potato salad. This is not like your potato salad that's like soaking in mayonnaise and super heavy. And I know, Shelley, you're going to talk about this in a moment. But one reason I wanted to make this is because wanted to show that you can make a really nice potato salad. And if you don't put that kind of stuff in it, you don't have to worry as much about it spoiling or going bad, which is always a concern with like mayonnaise based potato salad, egg salad, that kind of thing, which is a very summertime thing. Which I enjoy. I like, mayonnaise potato salad too. So I'm going to get started with, I'm actually going to get things cooking here. I've got a couple of eggs. I'm going to put those into the salad. And I wanted to just share my method of cooking the perfect hard-boiled egg that's just cooked enough. So my method is taking the eggs, lowering them into the boiling water and cooking them for exactly 7 minutes. And 7 minutes, and then after that point, bringing them out and draining them. So I'm gonna put those into the water. I've got a separate pot of water boiling for the potatoes. So I'm gonna get the potatoes boiling because those obviously need to cook and then cool. And then while those cook and everything, we'll start working on our other dishes that we're gonna do. So that's where I'm going to start, is with our potato salad. And yeah, like I said, I'm not doing anything crazy here. I'm just lowering the eggs in. One trick I will share is if you want to make sure your eggs don't crack, I kind of very, very gently lower them into my little pot right here. And you'd be surprised, even just a gentle touch on the bottom of the pot might crack them. So you really want to do this gently. And I am a little picky. I'm not a huge fan of like a super overcooked hard-boiled egg. It's all gray and green. I like it to be nice and yellow in the middle.
I need to bring you some of my chicken eggs. I've got 7
Yes.
chickens. They're awesome.
Yes, please. So
I cook mine the same way as you. 7 minutes. It's perfect.
7 minutes. Yeah, 7 minutes. I got my timer. And now I'm going to put my potatoes in and pass it to you to take it wherever you want, Shelley.
Well, since you're starting with potato salad, guess where I'm going? We're going to talk about food safety. This is something that I haven't really talked about with the spinal cord community because it just never occurred to me, but it's really important to talk about, especially in the hot summer months, and especially as you're out and about and food might be sitting around for a little bit. It's not the best topic, but it's a really timely one. Usually in the summer, if someone gets sick after a barbecue or a picnic, people usually blame the potato salad or whatever salad was there with the mayonnaise. But a lot of these salads are prone to bacteria. specifically Staphylococcus aureus or Clostridium perfringens. Those are the two bacteria that thrive in foods like cold salads because of their low acidity and usually often eggs as well. So eggs are kind of a problematic thing when it comes to things sitting outside. With most potato salads, even this healthy one that he's making, there's an acid in the recipe to make it safer, but the low acidity in the potatoes kind of offsets the benefit of the acid, and it creates an environment where bacteria can grow and thrive. So that sets the stage. What happens next is that hygiene comes into the picture. Staphylococcus aureus is usually found on our faces, around our eyes and nose, and it can be introduced to salad when people touch their faces and then touch the food. But still, this isn't the main issue. The main issue now is that we have the environment, we have the introduction where bacteria is added, and now you have the main ingredient for food sickness, temperature. So now that you have the final factor of temperature, if the temperature outside is 90 degrees, that means that foodborne pathogens in the salad can increase by tenfold in as fast as an hour. It only takes an hour and it's already so much worse. So usually it's not the mayonnaise, but it could be the mayo, but also egg, and a lot of mayonnaise has egg anyways. And then the introduction of bacteria. But the thing that really makes you sick is the temperature, things like that sitting for that long. So the rule of thumb is to leave food out no longer than 2 hours from cooking, or 1 hour if it's really hot outside. So just remember the number 2 hours, okay? And are you prepping the next thing? Let's go.
No, yeah, I'm just I'm getting a couple things ready. So I want to talk about why I'm doing this. I really like a potato salad like this because it travels really well. It's something you can throw in the car, drive somewhere. If you're going to someone's house, if you're going to a barbecue, you can sit out for a bit because of everything that Shelley just said. You don't have as much things, that can go bad. So it's a simple recipe, but I'm a big fan of any kind of potato salad. It doesn't just have to be in the summertime. But the combo I'm using is potatoes. You can use any kind of potatoes you want. Ideal are like those little tiny round ones that you wouldn't even need to cut. You could just cook them whole. I just like the way they look, or even the small ones where you can just cut them in half.
You like Yukon or red?
I think those
like
are more
Yukon.
like fingerling, even like the smaller, like the
Little red ones.
I didn't use those now. I just used what I think they were Yukon, like yellow Yukon potatoes. I kept the skin on. The potatoes are organic. I washed them so that there's no dirt on the outside, but I did just keep the skin on because the skin is really thin and it tastes fine to me. So I just cooked them whole like that. In fact, I've got a Renegade here. And that's all we're trying to do is boil them in the water till they're fork tender. And so that's really the way you start any kind of potato salad. And then the other things that are going to go into it are really simple. It's just going to be some fresh dill, some green onion, and then the sauce itself. And it's going to go on this bed of watercress. This is kind of a little extra touch. You don't have to do this, but I really like watercress. I know it's like a super healthy thing that Shelley, you might be able to talk about, but it's really peppery. If you like arugula, you might like it. It's not the easiest thing to find, but it also wasn't that hard to find either. I found it at the grocery store. It's just a nice combo. So I'm gonna, once the salad's all tossed and everything, I'm gonna serve it on this bed of watercress. But it's really gonna be pretty minimal in terms of what it gets. It's just gonna be dill and green onion. Dill and potatoes is just a classic combination. That's like Eastern European, Central European, everywhere. That's kind of what they do. So, and this is one where fresh dill goes a long way. And you don't need all of this. Dill goes a long way. Just a few kind of stems of this will be totally fine. So I'm just pulling these out. Dill is one where you do want to avoid the stems. They can be pretty tough. So I am going to actually go through and pick some of the leaves off of the stems so I don't have them. And then while I'm waiting for my potatoes to boil and my eggs, which are going to be ready in 1 minute. So I'm going to deal with the eggs. I'm just going to drain them and put them in some cold water so they stop cooking, and start taking the leaves off of this dill and wait for my potatoes to cook and check back in.
So one really quick question.
Yeah.
You mentioned a hint about how to wash dill, and because, you know, when you wash dill, all of it sticks together and it's really hard. So you do that ahead of time, right?
Yeah, dill is one that even if you spin it in a spinner, which I'm a big fan of, I use for everything, you still ideally want to wash it ahead of time and just give it some time. I often, after I wash it or soak it, I grab the bunch and I just shake it to get a lot of the water off of it, because you're totally right. Dill can get very waterlogged and you don't want like kind of soggy dill. So I washed this earlier, let it sit, plenty of time to dry, and it's totally good to go. And it's got such a wonderful flavor. And I know
love dill.
Is when a lot of people would say, is dry dill okay? Yes, of course, dry dill works fine. But as we always say in our sessions, the fresh herbs, the flavor difference is huge. The health benefit difference is huge as well. But I'll stick to what I know, which is the flavor, which is dry dill can only go so far. The fresh dill is really what gives it that beautiful color and aroma. So I'm going to grab the eggs because they're not going to overcook.
Get it? Yes. And another thing I will talk to is you mentioned watercress, and I will just tell everyone I love watercress too, and I love arugula, peppery flavors. It's a member of the mustard family, watercress. It includes a lot of known leafy greens and veggies like collard greens and kale, turnips, radishes, and other things. Those are all kind of like pungent flavors, so they're all in the same family, which makes sense. Anyways, so watercress is really healthy. It has a really great flavor to it, and I love that you're putting the potato salad over that just to give it a little extra green and some extra nutrition. It's really good. I'm going to continue talking a little bit more house cleaning here. We're talking about food safety for this episode. I really wanted to hammer it down. So you've got the foods that are low acidic foods, you have the introduction of bacteria, and then you have the temperature, those three things. So what can you do to keep yourself safe and not have to deal with food poisoning during the summer or anytime? Wash your hands a lot. Just keep your hands as clean as you can, keep surface areas clean that you're working on, and then don't cross contaminate. So if you're working with protein like meat, eggs, any kind of protein, don't mix that with vegetables and raw things, like say you're making a salad, something like that. The cross contamination can really make you sick. If you're cooking, make sure you're cooking to proper temperatures, especially if you're cooking meat. There's specific temperatures for meat to be cooked to be safest. And then chill. So it's clean, separate, cook, and chill. There's 4 things. And chill is just keep things refrigerated under 40. Make sure that your refrigerator is getting down to 40. And your freezer should be set to 0. Try to keep your refrigerator clean if you can, and then just be careful about leaving food out for longer than that 2 hours, especially if it's hot. It would be an hour. So those are just my tips. If you want to learn more, there's a lot to learn about food safety. I took an entire course on it. Foodsafety.gov is a really good resource. You can go to foodsafety.gov and it will tell you what temperatures certain foods need to be at to be safest to eat, how to store certain foods, when to throw foods away that you've had in your refrigerator. So that way you don't end up eating something that's spoiled and will get you sick, and we don't want you to get sick. So that is my spiel on food safety. It is important, and I'm glad that I thought to share it, especially as we go into the hot summer months.
Yeah, you really want to be careful. I'm really glad we're talking about it because that is an easy way to get sick, and no one wants food poisoning. We've all had it at some point or another. It's not fun to have. So again, just be mindful of what you're making, what you're bringing, how long it's in the car. Bring a cooler sometimes, especially if you know you're going to be out for a while. But again, this potato salad is one that could be out for a few hours and it'll be fine because there's nothing minus the eggs, but those are hard boiled. Um, so yeah, this is another reason why I like recipes like this. You have to be a little bit less careful than you do.
Eating plant-based in general is a lot easier on the stomach.
So much easier. Yes, yes. So I realized that my heat was really low in my water for my eggs. So I might have messed up. So I left them in for a few minutes longer. We'll see. I drained them. I'm going to let them cool off. And my potatoes should probably be cooking pretty soon. I chopped up 3 green onions. I like the flavor of green onions. It's a little milder than a red onion or a white onion, but I do think some kind of oniony flavor is nice. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it. You can use another fresh herb or something else you want. But I'm keeping this recipe super, super basic. So it's just going to be the potatoes, the green onions, the dill, and then a nice dressing to go along with it. So I'm going to check to see if my potatoes are cooked, which the easiest way is, yeah, these are not quite there yet. You can often tell by the color. And just remember, the smaller pieces you have, the less time it'll take to cook. So I already cut them up into bite-sized pieces. You could also keep your potatoes in bigger chunks and cook them and then cut them up when they're already cooked. Totally fine. Either way works. I just decided to go this way for now. But I just pulled one out and felt it with my tongs, and I can just tell it's not quite there. You do want it all the way cooked because this isn't going to cook anymore. So those still need a couple minutes. But I want to talk about maybe the dressing for this, since I've mentioned it a few times. So a no mayo potato salad, and in a lot of the world, potato salads are actually made in this way in France, in a lot of parts of Europe. When you eat like a potatoy salad, especially in the summer, it's made with a really nice acidic tart dressing. So I'm going to use apple cider vinegar. I'm just going to use my jar here. And I'm eyeballing, but don't worry, I'll send the recipes out. So a couple tablespoons or so of apple cider vinegar. You can use red wine vinegar, champagne vinegar. You could even use rice wine vinegar. I would not use balsamic for this dressing. It just doesn't do the right thing. And then mustard. This is another key. So dill, potato, mustard. That's like a classic combination in a lot of cuisines all over. So I'm going to use a good healthy teaspoon or so, because that combination is really, really good, of mustard. And then I'm going to, just a little bit of salt and pepper and olive oil to bring it together. And I'm just going to shake it up. So that's really it. That's going to go into my dressing today. And again, really, really simple. I will say one tip to keep in mind is potatoes kind of soak up a lot of dressing. So definitely make more than you think because they absorb a dressing like this. It's kind of why when you use like mayonnaise, you need a lot too. So I actually think, we'll see. I think I actually need a little bit more vinegar. So I'm going to add that right now because I know, and I like my potato salad to have like a nice acidity as well. So you definitely want like a nice balance, but a good amount of dressing for the potatoes. So I'm going to add a little olive oil to this. Hopefully my potatoes will be cooked and pass it back to you, Shelley.
All right. Let's do something a little more fun. Talk about something more fun. So we're going into summertime now, and this, if you live here in Northern California, this is it. This is where the flavor just starts to pop. So I just want to mention some of the benefits to eating seasonally. We talk about it flavor all the time, eating seasonally, but there's other things that come along with the benefits to eating locally and seasonally. So foods that travel less distance have more flavor and more nutrients. They provide maximum health benefits that way because they have all of that. Plants, they get their nourishment from the sun and the soil. So when that changes, their nutrients change also. So think about like the pink tomatoes that we always talk about. They're in the grocery stores in December. Changes to the nutrient profiles of produce over the seasons have been really studied extensively. And one study found that there was 3 times more vitamin C in the summer versus the winter, assuming you don't have a greenhouse to grow greens in the winter or live in California. But But nutrients are much, much better when things are eaten locally and in season. Eating seasonally supports a healthy gut. We have an abundance of good bacteria in our digestive system that help our overall health, including our immune system, digestive health, our skin, blood sugar balance, weight management, and so many other things. Our gut bacteria changes all the time. And so when you eat seasonally, that supports it by feeding it the absolute freshest nutrients, and it changes as the seasons change. So it's really beneficial for the gut microbiome. Diets that are highly processed, high in sugar, unhealthy fat and carbs, they negatively impact our gut microbiome, and that can happen super fast. But maintaining a healthy gut by eating with the season and local and a wide variety of fruits and veggies can also have a very quick impact on our gut health. Let me know if you want to jump in, okay?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say one thing I like to do with this, which I haven't yet done, is my potatoes are cooked. I actually didn't cool them off. And the reason is I like that the potatoes will absorb a little bit more of the dressing when they're still a little warm. So you can see there's still some steam coming off it. And I don't mind if the warm potatoes kind of cook the green onion a little bit, because it'll kind of
tone it down a little.
Down. I was going to make up a word and say milden, but that's
I like that.
So I'm totally fine. If you're picky about it, you would probably put them in first and wait for it to cool. But for all intents and purposes, this is totally fine. So I'm just giving these a quick toss with the dill and the scallions. I'm going to finish making my dressing and then give it a dress and see how it goes.
I kind of like a warm potato salad too. I don't know about you. It's pretty good.
And that's another nice thing about potato salad, is that it's so versatile. Warm, you can eat it cold, you can eat it for lunch, you can eat it as a side dish. You can kind of do whatever you want with it.
And it tastes, coming from a food science background, warm foods generally have a more pungent, like more noticeable odor and taste and flavor. And so if you eat warm potato salad, it's like different than eating it cold. I mean, they're the same ingredients, but you get a different sense, Oh, that's beautiful.
Color. So we got a little kind of like yellowy color from the mustard. It smells
beautiful.
Good. And I'm just gonna stir this in. And like I said, you'd be surprised how much potatoes absorb dressing or any kind of sauce. So I think it's pretty good. I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit and just cool off, and then serve it up in a minute, because I'm still waiting for my eggs to cool off as well. And I do like that to go with it. So I'm gonna put that aside for now, and maybe move on to the next thing, if that's okay.
Yeah, sounds good. This is a good point. I can go back to the seasonal eating benefits anytime.
Sounds good. So Shelley, you were kind of responsible for this next recipe. This is a green goddess, and you might have seen it as a prepared salad dressing or sauce. I love this. There's a lot of different ways you can make this sauce, but Shelley, you inspired me with the version you shared with me. And I thought, that would be a fun one to do for this, because it's another good thing that it's nice. It's summer, it's hot. You want something kind of light. This does have dairy. It's going to have Greek yogurt in it. So everything we said about food safety, keep that in mind.
Yes.
But this is such a versatile sauce. I'm going to call it a sauce because it can be a dip. You can make it a little thicker and have it more of a dip. You can make it a little thinner and runnier and use it as a dressing, as a salad dressing.
I've done both. Amazing.
Totally. And there's really, like I said, a lot of ways to do it. I'm doing a classic green goddess. The one herb that's like, I don't like to use these like classic authentic terms too often, but I do think there is some reasoning behind the one thing that makes a really good green goddess, I think, is tarragon. And tarragon is this beautiful herb. It's got a licoricey flavor. It's so good. A little goes a long way. You don't have to use it. Any combination of kind of fresh herbs would work fine, but I think tarragon is kind of a must. So use some tarragon, and again, kind of like dill too, you don't want the stems. It's not like cilantro or parsley where you can just kind of chop them up. So the easiest way is you kind of take it from the top end and you run your fingers kind of opposite and you pull the leaves off. So I'm going to use a little chopper for my sauce, so I don't need to worry about cutting it up. So all I'm going to do is take some of this tarragon off of its stem, and I'm also going to use 2 other herbs. I had some mint in the garden, and I'm going to add a little bit of mint, but any combination, parsley, cilantro, basil, mint, any of these soft stem herbs, you know, not so much rosemary, not so much sage, which I have a lot of sage in my garden right now too, but really any combination or just one, it really doesn't matter. But I do like the sauce to have more than 1 herbs. It adds a little complexity.
This is a good one to have multiple. It's just, and whatever you have on hand, kind of, it'll never be the same ever, the dressing ever.
Right. That's kind of the beauty of it. You know, it's kind of the beauty. It always tastes slightly different. You can balance it out to however you like it. So I'd say I'm going to use about this much tarragon, so it's not a ton. And then I've got a few stalks of mint. I'm going to use those, and I'm also going to use some fresh basil. So that's the combo I'm using today. Again, you can use whatever combo you like. If you don't like cilantro, if you're one of the people who has the aversion to it, don't use cilantro. Use parsley, tarragon, and basil, or use basil and mint, or you know, whatever you want. I'm a huge fan of integrating fresh herbs. I think people don't know and appreciate how good fresh herbs are, and I'm always trying to find ways to introduce people to fresh herbs. So I'm gonna take a few leaves of basil off as well. Put it into my chopper. I've got a few cloves of garlic as well that I'm going to throw in, but I'm going to get that ready and pass it back to you, Shelley.
All right. So chatting about seasonality and the health benefits that comes along with seasonal eating. So I talked a little bit about foods traveling less distance, more flavor, more nutrients, maximum health benefit. Talked about supporting your healthy gut, the microbiome. Eating seasonally is cheaper due to the abundance of produce that's easier to grow. It's growing in the area. Enough said about that. It's just a lot cheaper to eat with the season. Eating seasonally is also better for the environment. Less travel means less fossil fuels to get the food to us. Eating locally also supports our communities as well as the environment. Even better, supporting farmers at the farmers market has a really huge impact on local economies. So you're actually doing more than just getting fresh, flavorful food. You're doing a lot more for the planet and for your health too in general. But right now, where we live, I wanted to just point out a few things that are growing either in our garden or around us. But right now, in season, berries. All the berries, blueberries, boysenberries, mulberries, raspberries, strawberries, cherries, loquats, which are Japanese plums, melons, the stone fruits, which we talked about this last year. I think we had a session. That is my all-time favorite fruit. Any stone fruit, all of them. I just love them all. Figs and rhubarb. Those are some typical fruits that you might find right now if you go to the farmer's market. The veggie list is so long, I think it would take me an hour to list out all the things that are in season right now. So I'm going to put a plug out there for the Pacific Coast Farmers Market Association. I've known of this association my whole adult life. It's a good resource. They have a seasonality chart on their website that will tell you what's growing every month. They have a lot of farmers markets in the Bay Area, and their website will help you find the one closest to you. The website can also tell you what the farmers and producers at each market are growing and when they're open. And they're part of the San Francisco Bay Area Market Watch Consortium, which works to connect local growers, fruits and vegetables, and make it more affordable for CalFresh recipients. So there's CalFresh information on the website if you use CalFresh. And the website is Pacific Coast Farmers Market Association. It's PCFMA, and that has a lot of information, and it's .org. So you can learn more about, and they've got tons of farmers markets. So you can learn more about local farmers markets and what's going on and what's in season. And it's kind of a fun website to look at. So that is my plug for shopping seasonally. Farmers markets are they're usually pretty fun. They're outdoors. They're, if some of them are big, huh?
COVID
Yeah, COVID.
safe because you're outside.
Yeah, you're outside, and depends on what time you go. I do want to say that if you go at the end of the farmers market, you are going to be able to get deals. Honestly, a lot of the farmers do not want to pack up whatever's left from the day and bring it back. I mean, it's going to go to waste usually. So you can get good deals on farmers market, like foods that are like towards 2 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m. when they're closing up. That's kind of when you want to show up, when people are pretty much leaving and the farmers are packing it up, and you'd be like, hey, how much for these? And chances are nothing, maybe. So check it out. And so that's my plug on seasonal foods.
Yeah,
looks
so
like,
update over here. I packed my blender, my little chopper, with the herbs. I added some Greek yogurt, salt and pepper, and I did add some lemon juice. I do like this to have some acidity, and I want it to kind of thin out a little bit. So I gave it a chop. It still looks a little thick to me. So I'm going to give it another chop. So bear with me in the noise. And I added a couple cloves of fresh garlic. So that's obviously something you can adjust as you like, less or more based on your own preference. So I'm going to give this another quick chop. Maybe you can mute me.
Yeah. So, okay, we're going to start talking about portable stuff. So, so all of the things that Arash is making right now are perfectly appropriate for packing up in a little ice chest with some ice packs and taking it on the go. The most important thing to remember is to just give yourself a little bit of time to plan ahead when you're going to be out and about, whether it be out for doctor's appointments or just out and about running errands. So give yourself a little time. This can help you avoid having to pick up fast food when you're out and about and you get hungry. Having healthy food at the ready is going to be instrumental in feeding your body well and continuing to offset the risk for chronic disease or health complications. I like this quote. I don't know where it came from, but healthy meals don't just happen. You have to make them happen. And Arash and I, we're going to keep telling everybody forever that it doesn't have to be very complicated. You can in fact, if you eat more simply, it's oftentimes healthier. So give yourself some time when you know you're going to be out and about to prep. You can't expect yourself to think rationally and make really good choices when you're hungry. The body knows what it needs, and if you get to the certain point where you're just famished and you have nothing to eat, the closest drive-through is what's going to happen. So that's why planning a little bit ahead of time is really helpful. When you're making meals, make a little extra to take on the road to appointments. Leftovers usually pack up pretty great, unless they're like better when they're hot. When you're meal prepping, you can think of different meal elements. Try to find some time once, twice a week with your caregiver to do some meal prepping. Make a couple of grains, like a batch of brown rice and a batch of quinoa and a couple of proteins. And that can include tofu or hard-boiled eggs or some grilled chicken, couple vegetables, a couple of different kinds of fruits. And so these components are like basically plug and play. That looks delicious. So how is it? It looks perfect for a salad.
It is so
Or a dip.
good. So yeah, I got a little messy on my cutting board here, but I tasted it and it was not green enough and I wanted a little more herb. So I added a little more basil and actually it was a little too thick. So I added just a splash of water. And this is just something, if you make this, you'll figure out yourself. So I like this consistency. I think it's nice. It could be a dip, it could be a salad dressing, but I'm gonna kind of put this aside. And it is so good. You could even, if you're, I'm big on garnishes, you could always take a little bit more of that tarragon you had and just kind of put it on top there. Stick that in there. Nice green goddess dressing / sauce.
So what are you going to do with that? What is your family going to eat with that?
I'm going to dip some of these veggies I'm gonna cut up in a moment for it. So
Perfect.
that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. So components, you can think of making little components. Salads are pretty portable. We've talked about like making them into wraps and that kind of thing. You don't have to have full meals. Now, this is where we're going to start talking about chopping vegetables. So you don't have to bring full meals with you, like traditional meals with you. You can bring like these chopped vegetables. You can bring 1 or 2 dips or something like that. You can bring a hard-boiled egg. You can bring some pita bread, or that right there is perfectly acceptable. Doesn't have to be like a traditional looking lunch if you're out and about. It can be just a variety of, like, think of it like a little buffet, your own little personal buffet of things to bring that have a lot of good flavor and nutrition. So he's peeling your eggs. Are they cooked?
I think so. They might be a little on the soft side, but that's okay. I don't mind. So I'm peeling my eggs, going back to my salad, my potato salad. And yeah, to your point, Shelley, another thing, something like this green goddess is really nice for is like if people are into like hummus, like dipping crackers and veggies into hummus, it's a nice substitute. I'm a 2-meal-a-day person. I don't eat 3 meals. So if you are like me and you kind of just want something light or small to get you through between meals, it's another way to think about it. So it doesn't have to be like a full meal. Yeah, these are just, I love what you're bringing up about just the portability, the transportability of all these things, and kind of emphasizing that in terms of this kind of cooking. So
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, it
perfect.
doesn't. That looks good.
Look at that, even with my messed up timing. So I'm just gonna finish my potato salad. Look at that, there we go. That's what I wanted. So I kind of like these bigger chunks. So bring this together so I can show you guys. So I've got my nice platter here. I've got my watercress.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
I've got my potato salad. I'm just gonna dump that right on top. I've still got some dressing left over. So if my watercress kind of needs a little seasoning too, I can do that. But this is just
that looks so perfect.
And what I'll do is I can just take my egg and just kind of set them around.
Wow.
And to me, this is just perfect. The yolk is nice and yellow. You see, it's not like gray or green or that overcooked color you see sometimes. And this is like a nice, really nice side dish if you want. So I've got my potato salad with hard-boiled eggs on a bed of watercress, dill, scallion, mustard dressing, ready to go.
That could be a main dish for me.
That is probably going to be what we eat there tonight. So
absolutely looks like like a hot summer night. That's
you've got everything covered. You've got
protein, you got everything. Yeah.
You got it all covered.
Beautiful.
Okay, so the last thing I wanted to work on tonight was something I've heard a lot of requests for, which is eggplant and a famous dish most people know called baba ganoush. And this is a wonderful, another kind of dish that is so good as a dip, as something to put onto your sandwich or a wrap. Transports well, really, really yummy, tons of flavor. And I feel like a lot of people now are more used to it or heard about it since it's become kind of more commonplace in the last many years. So what I did is I had 2 eggplants. I had 2 very different sized eggplants, but it didn't matter. And the easiest thing to do is, and I've been asked many times, make more dishes with eggplant. We want to know how to make eggplant. Take the eggplant and I put it on a baking tray and I stuck it in the oven for like an hour. I let it cook until it was really blackened on the outside. You can see the skin's blistered and black, and the inside, all the flesh is really soft. And what's nice is that now the flesh comes off the skin really, really easily. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just taking the flesh out of the skin, or the skin off the flesh, however you want to think about it. And I'm gonna kind of put it into my bowl. This is another one that you could do in like a blender. If you wanted like a really smooth consistency, which some people like, you can use a blender or a food processor like the chopper I just used. But I kind of like it like this. So what I'm gonna do actually before I put it in my bowl is I'm just gonna rough chop it with my knife. And eggplant's one of those things that I know a lot of people struggle with. They don't know what to make with it. They think they don't like it. But most of the time, if they taste it, they end up liking it. And this is a really, really easy way to eat and prep eggplant without using a ton of oil. Because the other tricky thing with eggplant is it's kind of a sponge, and it's an easy thing to use a lot of oil. So I just rough chop that. I'm going to put it into my bowl. And then the other ingredients for a baba ganoush are fresh garlic. And this is another thing that it does need to have like a garlicky taste. So due to your own seasoning and desires, I like garlic. So I'm going to chop up some garlic to add to that. And then I'll talk about the last couple of important ingredients for that in just a moment. So I'll pass it back to you, Shelley.
All right. I don't have a whole lot else to share. But I want to, again, I want to talk about how easy it is to just bring like your favorite dip that you make, vegetables, some fruit, maybe a little bit of pita bread. Like, I think that's a great go-to portable thing. You can do sandwiches, like wraps. Basically, I'm just trying to impress upon you the importance of like just bringing something with you when you go out and about.
And Shelley, sorry to jump in, but I know something I always talk about is remember cost, guys. Like I sometimes struggle with this too. I'm like, well, I don't really have much to eat. Should I go pick something up or get, some food? But then I realized like how inexpensive it is to make something at home and use that, eat that. So it's really all about using everything you have to make something tasty for yourself. So keep that in mind too, whenever you're thinking about these foods. And I love that we're talking about this, the traveling, the bringing stuff with you, because it does make a difference. And I do it all the time. I have a Tupperware, a bunch of different Tupperware. I know I'm going to be gone for like a lunchtime kind of thing. I usually just bring my food with me, even if I can't heat it up. If it's something I want hot, then I'll usually try to find a way to heat it up or just eat it room temperature, because you know what, it saves a whole lot of money to do that instead of like going and buying a crappy sandwich or something that I might enjoy all that much.
Yeah, and it's I mean one fast food meal isn't the problem, it's multiple over time too. So the easier it becomes for you to bring food with you and pack healthy food, the payoff is so big in the end. I also want to mention, don't forget, we're going into summer. Don't forget to bring water with you. I don't want to see people getting dehydrated. And honestly, it's hot here where we live. And so want to make sure that you have plenty of water with you, stay hydrated. Some ways to make, what is that?
This is tahini, and I'm really happy because I found this tahini and it's actually made in Berkeley, my hometown. So it smells so fresh and so good. Tahini is an ingredient I've talked about a lot in the past. It's just sesame seeds that are crushed up into like a peanut buttery type texture. Very, very common these days. You can find it everywhere. It's every grocery store now has tahini. This is a key element of baba ganoush. So this adds some richness and a ton of depth of flavor to the eggplant, but it needs to get balanced with acid. So I've got a bunch of lemon juice that I squeezed earlier from lemons. So right now it's just going to be this delicate dance. So you see the tahini, it's kind of, like I said, like a little bit thinner than a peanut butter texture. And it goes a long way. So you don't want to overdo it. So better to start with less than more. And because it's, it has a lot of fat. It is just sesame seeds, so it's not the worst fat, but it's good to keep in mind. So I'm going to start with a little bit of that, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of lemon juice. And then I'm just going to mix this up in my bowl.
That tahini, you could buy a jar of quality tahini and you can make this baba ganoush, you can make hummus, you could make a variety of different things with tahini. So you're not just using a little bit and putting it in your cupboard.
No, and it really doesn't go bad. It lives in your cupboard. You can have it. It's a key element in hummus. It's a key element in baba ganoush and a lot of Arabic cooking, Middle Eastern cooking. It's really, really yummy and tasty. Like I said, these days it's a very trendy ingredient, used a lot for like salad dressings and such. So I'm gonna have a little.
A lot of people think they need to blend baba ganoush, but you know what? You cook the eggplant enough, it just blends itself. It's a miracle.
And I think it's so tasty, and I kind of like it chunky, and I like that kind of rusticness of it. I've got a little bit of the Greek yogurt left over. You don't have to do this, but I've got a little bit left over, so I'm like, what the hey? I saw some that do use the Greek yogurt. It's not super traditional, but
this is where having fun with food comes in right here. Fun.
So remember, if you didn't add the yogurt, there's really nothing too perishable about this. Tahini, it's not a dairy product or a meat product, the eggplant. So that's another item that you could have it, you could bring it to a barbecue, sit on the table, you know, nothing's really gonna happen. Now it's got some yogurt in it, so you do want to keep that in mind. But oh my gosh, guys, if you could taste this, this is so good. Nice baba ganoush. It's smoky from the skin of the eggplant. It's creamy from the tahini. And I'm just going to finish it off just for fun. These are black sesame seeds. Because the tahini is white, I think it's a nice balance to kind of have this nice black sesame. So there's my baba ganoush. You still have 2 eggplants, only turns into that much. So don't be afraid of using up those eggplants. And summer is eggplant season.
Yes, it is.
So baba ganoush done.
It's 6 o'clock now. And we have no questions, but we have one giant word that says yummy in our comment section, all caps.
Fantastic. And you know, if it's okay, I'm going to go just a few more minutes since we started getting late. And I do just want to share one other thing here. So if you're going to go for a few more minutes, Shelley.
I'm good to go. Yeah.
Great. So there's the last thing I wanted to share. My station here got a little crowded, so bear with me here. I'm going to move my salad over here. We've got our baba ganoush. We've got our potato salad. So the last thing I just wanted to share, which I'm going to make for that green goddess dressing, is I wanted to just talk about making some veggies to dip. And I know you can buy a pack of pre-cut veggies and all, but it's really not that hard, and it saves time, it saves money, definitely, to cut up your own veggies, and you can kind of do whatever you want. So I just wanted to take a few moments. I've talked about some of these before, but just some easy tricks of what I like to do, the way I like to cut up veggies, because I see people doing, especially with something like a bell pepper, people doing really weird stuff. So I'm just going to make a little veggie platter. So with the bell pepper, my favorite way to cut this up is to cut the bottom off first. And depending on kind of the shape of it, you might get a nice flat piece, you might not. And then you rest the stem side down, stand it up, and you just cut nice, straight around the seeds. Then you don't get any of the seeds. Okay?
So easy that way.
And then you just cut it into strips. Sometimes the recipe calls for de-ribbing. De-ribbing is taking out this white part, but when you're just using it for dipping, it doesn't matter. That's sometimes for like other recipes that say you want to do that, but it's an easy way to do this too. So I see people cutting bell peppers in a lot of weird ways. Again, I don't really understand. To me, this is by far the easiest way to do it. So I've got my bell pepper here. That's the way I like to cut up some bell pepper. And then for something, I know they're not the worst in the world, but try not to get baby carrots. They're just weird. I know like they've been proven to not be as bad as originally thought, but I still think they're funny. I get good, nice organic carrots from the farmer's market. They're inexpensive. If you get organic carrots, you don't even need to peel them because I just wash them really well and keep the skin on. And so with a nice big carrot like this, carrots can be a little tricky because of the shape. So I like to, with a big one like this, I'll cut this in half and then I'll cut one side so that I can now stand it up, right? And now I can cut strips. And this can be tough because carrots are not always easy to cut. And now I've got these nice flat pieces. And now all I do is go through and cut up some spears. So it also makes you appreciate, like when you buy something that's pre-cut and the amount of money you pay, and then you realize like that was a quarter of a carrot's worth. Like, oh my gosh, I just paid a lot of money. So I've got a nice carrot there. I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm just cutting into strips. Got my nice flat pieces here. Just go through.
I think these are important skills to be showing people for sure.
Yeah,
it's
kind
not
of gotten away from that sometimes. I used to the first sessions I talked a lot about knife skills and stuff, so I want to make sure I bring some back. And then I just want to share another fun veggie I picked up. This is an Endive or Endive. It's spelled Endive. It's kind of like a type of lettuce. This is a really nice thing for dipping, and I'll tell you why. Because it's like a little mini head of lettuce. If you just take a little piece off, and then you can just easily, it's like a perfect little scoop for that green goddess. So for something like this, I cut the bottom off, and then the leaves just kind of come apart.
Done. Chips, lettuce.
They're like chips. It's like healthier chips. So endive is a really nice thing to have. It's a little bitter. I like it. It has a really nice flavor and it has a nice presentation. And like we said, it's like a natural kind of spoon. And the leaves just really come apart really easily. And so throwing some endive on my veggie platter. Let's see, what else do I got? Just a couple cucumbers. Cucumbers, same thing. I'll just do, one or two to keep it simple. But let's see, with something like this, I'll kind of use the same technique as the carrots. I'll maybe cut maybe 1, 2 strips lengthwise. And then I'll kind of cut it into vertical strips.
Alternately, you could just cut it down the length and make little round chips.
You could make little round chips. You could do whatever you want. So I've got some nice little spears of cucumber.
I love cucumber and baba ganoush. It's my favorite combo.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. And it's another way to I always say, and you always talk about, Shelley, calorie density of food. If you want to eat a lot of something, but you don't want to, eat too many calories, using veggies for a dip, there's no calories in a cucumber or a celery or a carrot. So use that. I always like to keep that in mind. And it's a nice way that if you ate all of these cucumbers, you ate 2 cucumbers? I don't know, there's 20 calories.
30 calories.
Cucumber. So plus the dip that you're eating, obviously, which has more calories, but that's it. I mean, it's really a nice
calories aside, all the vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Okay, and what am I going to point out right here, right now, on that platter that I always talk about?
Rainbow colors.
Yes,
Brenna remembered better than me.
The camera woman knows. That's gorgeous. I see that red bell pepper there, and oh my gosh, that's perfect.
Yeah, I just cut up the orange for now, and that was enough. So with celery, I'll do the same thing. It doesn't matter. Just kind of cut whatever you want, whatever size. And this is another good thing in terms of transportability. If you just want a light lunch to take with you, you can cut up some veggies like this. You can keep that in a container in your fridge, and it'll stay good for at least a couple of days. But this is an easy way. You could just grab a Tupperware, throw some cut up veggies, grab some baba ganoush or the green goddess dressing, take that with you as part of your meal. Maybe grab a piece of bread or something to go along with it. Yeah. You don't have to complicate things, especially with summertime cooking. So I'll kind of leave it there. I've obviously got more veggies I can cut up and a lot to do. But just to recap, we've got our nice fresh veggie crudité, if you will, raw veggie
Beautiful.
platter. We've got our green goddess dressing, which goes really well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so
I know
good.
what you're having for dinner, and then you have your baba, and
then we got our baba ganoush. Can eat with bread, crackers, veggies, whatever, and our nice mayo-less potato salad with hard-boiled eggs on a bed of watercress. So that's kind of it for today from me. And Shelley, if you have any final thoughts you want to share.
no, I'm drooling right now, and you've always made me hungry during these presentations, and so I will go and have my dinner, whatever that may be. And I know what you're having. You and your family are eating well tonight.
We always do on these cooking nights.
Dinner's ready.
Dinner's ready. So yeah, thank you again, everyone. Thanks for bearing with us. Sorry we didn't get the recording going in time, but we still got all the cooking and the prep going. I'm getting over COVID, so this was a little bit tough to get through. So thanks for bearing with me, Shelley. And yeah, if you haven't gotten COVID yet, don't get it. It's no fun, especially with a spinal cord injury. So luckily my family got it. We survived. We're good. But that's all from us. I think we'll see everybody in July.
And I do want to add that we dedicate all of these presentations to Franklin, and we also want to acknowledge the generous contributions of the donors to NorCal that make all these presentations possible and support NorCal and all the work that NorCal does. So yeah. So thanks for coming and joining us. And we've got more summer stuff coming next month. Looking forward to seeing everybody then.
Sounds good. And we'll post this recording on YouTube real soon, and I'll get the recipes out as well. So please let us know, contact us if you want any of that, and see you in July.
Yeah, we'll chat about our gardens then.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Shelley. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Arash. Bye.